Well, this is a topic that could go on ad nauseum forever, but I want to take some time out because we do have special guests with us. This is Charlie Chan. You all remember this, right? I mean, they had a great location on the middle floor of the mall, and I spent about 2 years in high school working there and absolutely loved it. And also Gibson Accents. I'll let JD tell the story, but I have a feeling a lot of people, a lot of merchants, when JD opened his store around 1980, in what really was kind of a dead zone in the mall, a lot of merchants thought, he won't last. He's got way too much inventory, and it's too much of a niche market. Who got the last laugh? JD. He just kept building the business. He took over the old Osco drugstore space, and he was the last of the, what I'll call mom and pop tenants to leave the mall. In fact, as JD told me when I interviewed him a couple months ago, he said, really, it was Jones Store, which became Macy's, and Sears and Topsy's were the only ones that outlasted him. So that's quite a testament to a hardworking man in a business that did have a niche and became one of those destination locations. Having an outside entrance like this was probably a wonderful thing for him. You didn't have to walk miles through a mall to get to his space anymore. You could pull right up. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to offer my special guest the opportunity to come up, sit at this table, and if anybody just has some general questions, now's your time to ask them. I'd like to introduce Dick and Gay Williams, who owned Charlie Chan. Stand up. There's a stair over on this side. Come on up and sit down. And JD Patel, who owned and operated Gibson Accents for many decades in the market. How many of you bought something at Gibson Accents?
Oh, God. Thank you very much.
Thank you for allowing him to retire in style.
We've got 500 of those mooses with the gold star.
Dick, I'm going to hand you the mic because my voice will project. How many of you ate at Charlie Chan? How many of you had a chicken Chan? How many of you miss it like I do?
Thank you.
I would like Dick to tell the story of when they vacated the mall. There's kind of an interesting story there.
Need your mic.
Yeah, Dick will put the mic to his mouth, but go ahead, Dick, and tell whatever you'd like to about your experience owning Charlie Chan.
Well, first I'd like to thank, we have at least one of our employees here, Randy Dalton, and of course Brad was one of our high school students. Randy was out of high school. And Christy, yeah, so we got several representatives here, we appreciate that. So we had a changeable cast of employees like any fast food place, but we were also fortunate to have some excellent employees. Brad was one of them. He was a good example for the other employees and gave us a lot of stability. Randy could come back during Christmas vacation and help us out at some of the peaks, so that was very, very useful to us. What do you want to know about the end game with Morgan and Dryson?
Yes.
We had a lease that was going to be up in December of 1989. It was a 10-year lease in that vacated Woolworth space. Kay and I were not there the first year. Our store was actually owned by two out-of-town owners from Pennsylvania, closer to where the franchise outfit was headquartered. We got into it in stages, and about a year into the operation, and about, a month after we took over, the premise was we were just going to be kind of absentee owners. We lived up north, had a manager on site, Dick and Gay, and especially Dick probably wasn't to the liking of the manager, so she left us and took half the staff with her a few weeks after we took over. So we were thrust into actually operating a restaurant we hadn't actually planned. Total change of life for Gay and Dick both. I was a shift worker with the National Weather Service, so it was a scramble, but we made it and got staff reconstituted. In game was the 10-year lease was to be up in December of '89. Part of that mall decline that Brad referenced was in progress at that time. Handwriting was on the wall. some places are already left. We had a lease that was up till December of '89, and certainly planned to stay there the full time. We were also pretty weary of it at that time also. And the Christmas season is a real challenge going through that. I didn't actually look forward to one more Christmas in there because it's long, long hours, and for the declining sales for some of the middle-level merchants, wasn't any picnic. The mall management was, Frank Morgan has been mentioned, but his partner was Sherman Dreisison, and he came to us and he said he wanted the space because they were going to remodel again, and he wanted to put a jewelry store in there. Well, that was kind of music to my ears because he wanted our space, which means he would have to buy out that remaining 6 months of our lease. We came up with some numbers that were favorable for us. Sherman accepted it, and so we actually ended the operation with a kind of like the gas station where they had to sell all the gas in a few weeks or a few days. So we had a Hawaiian luau. The remaining staff hated me for it. Everything went on sale. We were very busy that last couple of days for the luau, which we were not Hawaiian by any means.
We're Chinese either.
Oh my God, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that. Interesting enough, our family uses the Chan name. Our daughter's name is Kate Williams, but she goes by Kate Chan to this day, so that's her way of keeping a little anonymity on Facebook and so forth. So we do have the Chan still with us. But anyway, we got out, feet first, on our feet, standing on our feet, proud of what we did there. We actually made a go of it. A lot of work, a lot of good memories, and a lot of hours.
And I can guarantee you, if you had told Dick and Gay 10 years ago that they would be here today, even talking about Charlie Chan, they would have said, you're crazy.
Farthest thing from my mind, the store was completely old memories. There was no nostalgia about anything. Brad here formed a Facebook group. When you formed that, 10 years?
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
For employees who worked at Charlie Chan. That's the name of it. We worked at Charlie Chan. We have some former customers also belong to it. So he had brought it back to life. We had a nice reunion, actually, with the Martin City Melodrama and that space that Brad showed on there, and we still are in touch with quite a few of our employees. So it's been a great deal of fun recreating that and having this little obscure, rather short-lived operation take on a whole new life 40 years after the fact. Thank you, Brad.
Go ahead.
And what was it like being drawn into something like that?
Oh, he said you only have to go down once a week, pick up the paperwork, and that's it. There'll be no work for you to do. Didn't have a day off for 10 years.
But she made the best lemon Chan drink on the planet.
And our three daughters all can, one of them loves to point back to her social security record and shows where she was on
4 years older or something.
Yeah,
when
she was about 7, I guess. Had to do the steps to it to get up to the register. But they all enhanced their social security earnings record by working in the family business.
Why don't you hand the mic down to JD?
Brad, you want to move the camera to get him?
Yeah, I should be able to get, let's see.
He's not on that.
He is now.
Okay, thank you.
Well, JD, I guess, again, you saw how many hands went up. How many people bought something from JD. A story you told me, JD, that I'd like you to tell was the infamous flood. The flooding, the wall of water that came your way.
Well, this happened in the spring of 1998. We had moved in the fall of, I guess it was the summer of '98, right close in there, I can't remember the exact date. But we'd moved into the new Osco location over there. We had about 21,500 square feet. And we were just so proud of that new space. Well, I'm in the store working that night, and as you owners know, it doesn't matter what half of the day you work, you only have to work half a day. So whatever 12 hours you want to pick each day. I played golf that afternoon, I worked in the morning, and I was back in the store working that night. All of a sudden, I'm out there, and one of my employees runs back to me and said, "There's a fireman in here." I I said, what? So I came running out from where I was. He says, well, you gotta evacuate, there's water coming. I said, what do you mean there's water coming? Well, he said, there's water coming. So he rushes out and says, everybody's gotta get out. So I'm walking up to the front of the store, and all of a sudden I'm looking down there where our old store used to be. And over there from where the Florsheim shoe store was and all of that coming from that northeast corner. And there's this wall of water that's running about this high off the ground that's heading towards us. And I see this, and it's on the other side of the fountain at this point. I race into the store, close the doors, we usher all the people out, and I'm telling all my employees, get everything you can that's on this floor up off the floor, because we've got this wall of water coming. And as we're getting out, finally moving out the back door, the water is right on our heels, going out the outside entrance, this wall of water. And then by the time it got out our door, it was only about 3 or 4 inches high, running out our store. Okay, it had, spread out all over. But an 8-inch water main broke back there in the sprinkler room where our old store was. Our old store had about 3 feet of water in it back in that one space. When I went in there, there was so much mud and stuff in there, it was unbelievable. Luckily, we just got mostly clean water. But we just had put all that in. Now we had to go back in after that flood. We had to completely tear up the store. And we did it all in the evenings. Okay? And we had to pull all because when we put it in, the wall cabinets that you saw all the way around that had the glass enclosed cabinets next door, those were supposed to be in before the carpet ever got laid. The guy came to me and he couldn't make the deadline for the cycle. So we had to go ahead and lay the carpet. The carpet had to be laid over that. So all those wall cases had to be pulled out at night and the new carpet put in. And we had to do that in stages all the way through the store from 10 o'clock at night until 6 in the morning. That was a nightmare, let me tell you.
The water main, Metcalf South had a big mechanical room. And it had generators, it was its own utility. So the tenants paid their utility bill to the mall owner, not to KCPL. Frank Morgan figured out ways to make money 6 ways from Sunday, including he provided the utilities for the tenants. But I guess an 8-inch water main break wasn't something that he had planned on.
I will tell you that one of the reasons I was successful is that Frank Morgan and Sherman Dryson, and Sherman in particular, were princes to work with. They really understood the business world. And when I went in and I would lay down a proposal to them, they accepted every proposal I laid down and what it was going to take for me to pay rent, to build out the space and everything. They were just excellent, excellent landlords. I just really appreciated them. You couldn't ask for better people to be your landlord in those days. I will tell you a funny story. When I opened the Kids at Heart, if you remember that story, anybody remember where I had it? Right across from the hospital. And I had the theater lights, the flashing theater lights that ran around that and everything. Well, they approved me to put that in, but Sherman wasn't certain that we'd be able to use the moving lights because he thought that'd be too much distraction. Well, when Frank came over, Frank overrode him, and he said, I like those moving lights, I want to see them moving. And Sherman said, okay, well, Frank likes them, I like them.
The rest of us were always just a little jealous of JD and the relationship he had with, especially Sherman, as he mentioned. So you did have a special relationship with Morgan and Dryson, and the rest of us got along well, but it wasn't quite the one-on-one. And he well deserved it because he ran an excellent operation, and they understood each other as merchant to merchant. So not everybody would have quite the same warmth that you enjoyed with them.
Well, one of the things that happened is I did not hold them responsible for my business. as far as a lot of the people that had problems with them from time to time, were always asking them what they were gonna do to drive business in. That was our job as a merchants association to decide what to do to bring people into the mall. And oftentimes, some of the merchants didn't see the benefit of going along with some of the things, even though they didn't realize they're getting exposure. Not everybody wants to buy from every store every time they come in. But if they get that exposure, if people come in, they will eventually, when they need it, oh yeah, that place had this item or this, whatever it might be. Or they may specialize in that particular thing. And once we got some more people to understand that we needed to be together on those Moonlight Madnesses, they all wanted to close at 9. Well, we need to be open till midnight with Jones to support them, okay? Because people, it was promoted as and Jones did a great job of promoting that mall for all of us. So we had a work cut out for us to get some of those merchants to understand it was a group effort. They may do well on some events, I may do well on some events, somebody else may do well on other events. It just depends on how you put it all together. But over time, you all do well.
Well, listen, time is growing short. We have another group that's coming in at noon. So I want to wrap up. I want to thank Dick and Gay and JD for being our special guests. Again, if you didn't have a chance to come over and see some of these artifacts from the mall, please do so. And a last comment, if there's any member here that did not receive your dues envelope from Dave Comer already, please check in with him. Let's save some postage, okay? So if you're here, pick up your dues envelope. Also, we have our color and black and white puzzles here if you want to purchase one. You know, the holiday season is fast approaching. This will save you a trip into our office. We have our top selling merchandise is all over there if you want to pick up something this afternoon. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I just scratched the surface, but my book, when it comes out, will tell you everything that I said today and a whole lot more. So I hope you'll be in support and purchase the book to help the Overland Park Historical Society. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful afternoon.